Am I wrong for forbidding my brother from bringing his girlfriend to our family events because my husband doesn't like it? My husband is an extremely religious and traditional guy, and he's not a fan of couples introducing each other to family unless they're ready to get married. He's only met my family for the first time after our engagement, and that's when I met his as well. I didn't grow up like this, but it's truly something that does not bother me at all, or else I wouldn't have married him. My brother used to date a different girl every month for 2 years straight. My husband didn't mind about my brother's dating life, but he flipped out if anyone even thought of allowing my brother to let any of his flings visit family gatherings. My brother wasn't planning to, but he got mad over how heated my husband was over this and told me over and over who he chooses to bring over to a family event is none of my husband's business. Facts. Like, I get it if it's like your sibling, right? If you're, my sister, my brother, I can tell them, hey, I don't feel comfortable. But when it's your wife's side of the family, her rules. That's something that I have been taught and I hope to live by. Like, it makes life easier. Like, you don't want your kids to do that? Okay, then don't. This person is not your responsibility. Like, let it go. For the past year and a half, my brother has been dating this girl and they're pretty serious. I've met her and so has my husband. She seems like a really nice and sweet person. They've also expressed how they may get engaged soon. The drama has started during the holidays. My husband and I told my parents that if they host Xmas in their house, they better notify my brother that his girlfriend is not invited. Who are you to tell me who I can and can't have in my house? Step back. My parents were mad we requested that, called us unreasonable, but ended up following through. My brother wasn't too pleased and he was mad on Christmas Day that we didn't include his girlfriend. I reminded him that once they make it official, she will be allowed to come and it's not personal against her. He was still mad and said this was the last time this is happening. Last weekend was my mother's birthday, and due to the fact she spent her birthday alone with my dad for 2 years straight, she wanted to do something special this year and host a nice party. Before the party, my husband reminded my mom of the no girlfriend rule. Yo, your husband needs to chill. Like, it's literally none of your business. Like, I hate people like that. And then they blame it on religion, like gives religion a bad name. Stop it. My mom flipped out at him and so did my dad, and they told us that we were being extreme with this and they had no right to dictate who enters their house and family events and that my brother's girlfriend will tag along whenever she wants, whether we like it or not. Good. My brother ended up coming to the party with his girlfriend and he acted like a champion for defeating my husband on this one. My husband was mad the entire night and wouldn't speak to a single soul. Am I wrong for not attending my fiance's dad's funeral because I was uncomfortable with wearing a hijab? I, 27 female, have been with my fiancé, 29 male, for almost 5 years now. He is a South Asian Muslim but was born here in America while I am a white and Christian. He is not very religious, but I am fairly devout in my own faith. His family is also very religious and his mother and sister both wear the hijab. We live on the West Coast, but both of our families are on the East Coast, but my family lives in the South and his family lives in the North, so they are far away from each other. This is all relevant. The two of us flew out to visit my family for Christmas and New Year's. We flew out on the 22nd and the plan was to stay until the 2nd when we'd fly back home. His dad had been fairly sick for a while and just a day after we arrived at my parents' house, he passed away. This was unexpected, since he'd be doing better recently. Obviously, my fiancé was devastated and instantly booked us both flights so that we could attend his funeral. We would have flown out on the 24th, so the flights were fairly expensive, booked last minute as well. Of course, I was sad to miss Christmas with my family and my parents were very disappointed, but I was happy to go support him. However, a few hours before we were going to fly out, he informs me that I'll have to wear a hijab to enter the mosque for the service and would not be allowed to go to the graveyard either. I did not feel comfortable doing this, so I told him I would rather not go. I figured if I could attend the service, I might as well just stay with my parents so we could still do Christmas together and he could come back and join us. His father died, you want him to come back and join you guys for Christmas? This was a very hard decision for me to make, but my parents helped me a lot in making it. My fiancé seemed okay with the decision and left without me, although before he left, he asked me if I couldn't attend the service but still come. He attended the service, but he hasn't come back and told me on the 29th he'd be doing New Year's there and hasn't messaged me since. His sister, who I've always been close with, texted me and told me how disappointed she was in me and what I did was wrong. I don't think I did anything wrong since I couldn't attend the service anyway. She also said I should have at least paid him back for the flight that he got me, but it was almost $1,000 and I simply can't afford that. Why does the sister care how much her husband paid for her? That's not her business. My fiancé makes almost 5 times as much as I do, and his family is also very wealthy, so I know the money is not an issue. My parents agree with me and said that it was important to spend Christmas with them, especially since it's the first after being engaged. They also think it was wrong for him to completely abandon me in our plans for New Year's. He didn't abandon you. His father died. I cannot believe you said the word abandon. My sister said I should have gone anyway to support him. So, am I the asshole? Homegirl. He is grieving with his family. His father died. Am I wrong for leaving my date in the parking lot? I, 30 female, broke up with my long-term boyfriend a couple of months ago. I've been on the fence about dating, so I was really hesitant when the cute lawyer in the office below mine asked me out for dinner. He recommended a really nice steak restaurant, the kind where the steak melts in your mouth and they don't put the price on the menu, and I agreed, as long as we paid for our own dinners. I was the one who suggested this because I didn't want him to pay that kind of cash on a first date since I make a decent salary, but I was also worried he would think I was just going out with him for his money. So I got all dressed up and drove myself to the restaurant. We agreed to drive ourselves, and it's going well until I went to the bathroom. I ordered a medium rare ribeye, like this steak was made for my dreams. I was probably more excited with the steak than I was about the date, to be honest. He ordered a filet mignon, nice, but it's no ribeye. When I came out from the bathroom, the waitress had already left our steaks out, and my date was digging into my ribeye. I asked him if that was my steak, and he pulled the whole, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I thought this was mine. I'll get you another one." But I felt really terrible. I'm a big girl. I can come back and get another steak. And filet mignon is fine. Date continues, and I thought things were going well, minus my ribeye, until the check came. He grabbed both bills and exaggerated that he would pay for it. But I reminded him that we agreed to split our bills. He looked through the bills and handed me mine. I didn't realize until my card came back with a $400 charge that he handed me the bill for my ribeye that he ate. He was very, very apologetic and said he would buy me dinner to make up for it. I tried to play it off. Mistakes happen. He probably forgot. It's fine. But then he wrapped his arm around my waist and asked me to drive him home. What is this man? He sounds like a moocher. I may have been out of the dating game for a while, but I'm not dumb. This was one of the reasons why I suggested we drive our own cars. So I took his arm off of me and told him that he could use the money he didn't spend on my ribeye to pay for an Uber. I drove home and cried into a bottle of wine and figured it was just a bad date. Whatever. Next Monday, I go to lunch and it's like every person in the building knows that my date went badly, and even that it was my fault for being unreasonable. Even my friends have been telling me that I was in the wrong for leaving him at the restaurant and making him call an Uber, telling me I'm a prude. I feel like an asshole because I was rude. I could have explained my feelings better and maybe I could have just driven him home, but I don't know. This man's a moocher, okay? You made your intentions clear. You said separate bills. Okay, I personally would have been like, no, I would have told the waitress like, hey, he actually ate my food, and I would have made sure that I paid for the filet mignon because I'm 100% sure filet mignon is cheaper. 2, you said, let's drive separately. Why did he have the intention of driving back with you when you said, I don't want us to drive together? And 3, why did he complain about it to everyone? What are you? Like, how he's trying to manipulate the story to make you look like the bad guy, which it's working. He ate her food on a date. He ate her food. And people are mad at her. You don't do that. If you know what you ordered, guys. Everyone at the restaurant, you're staring down those waiters, waiting for your food to come. You know what's yours. It's a moocher.
My boyfriend kicked me out of his car at 1 a.m. and left me there. Should I break up with him? Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. My boyfriend and I went to a party and got into a huge fight. Here's a little backstory on our situation. This boy chased me for months. And let me just say, he was never my type. I did not find him attractive. I didn't even think he was funny. Friends introduced us, and after he met me, he was completely obsessed. I knew and everybody knew that I was way out of his league, but he just started doing really sweet things. For example, he'd show up to my job with the Starbucks. First, I thought it was creepy that he would show up to my job. Then I found out he worked 2 blocks away from me, so it was actually pretty sweet. He would invite all of his friends to his place, and then he'd have a special dinner for me because I have celiacs, so I can only eat gluten-free, and he would only make me gluten-free food. After him trying to ask me out for 3 months, I finally caved in and said yes. This is where it gets me angry. Like, this is a boy that I had zero interest in. Yet I fell in love and became obsessed, and now I'm the one suffering? How is this fair? 6 months into the relationship, everything was pretty much okay, until he started getting jealous of everybody, even our existing friends. We went to this party and my best friend introduced me to her new boyfriend, and I actually know her boyfriend from years ago, so he and I were talking, but my boyfriend got angry, grabbed me by the arm and dragged me out of the party. Got in the car and we argued for an hour. We were an hour from my home. He kicked me out of the car and left me there at 1 a.m. Go to part 2. Boyfriend kicked me out of his car and left me there. Should I break up with him? Disclaimer, this is not my story time, and sent me on Instagram. As we were fighting in the car, I asked him why he was so jealous, and he said that he couldn't stand people even looking at me. Told him that reaction was unreasonable and not normal. And when I said the word normal, he got so angry he stopped the car, opened my door, and pulled me out. He pulled me out so quickly I fell onto the floor, and he just drove away. Mind you, I'm 1 hour away from my house. It is literally 1 a.m. And my battery was on 2%. Quickly grabbed my phone and called my best friend who's still at the party. She answers and I said to her, he kicked me out of the car, come pick me up, I'm sending you my location, and I hung up. I sent her my location, 30 seconds later, my phone dies. At this point, I have no idea if anybody's coming for me. This man drove by and stopped and asked me if I needed a ride. But honestly, he terrified me. He had a beer bottle in his lap. And he laughed when he saw me. He said, "Are you lost?" I told him I was waiting for friends, and then he laughed even harder. He said, "I'll just wait here with you." But I told him if he didn't mind to please leave me alone. That's when he called me a bitch and drove away. Also, I'm standing in the middle of a road with barely any lights, so it's like super dark. Every little noise I heard was scaring the life out of me. Picture me. I'm there clutching my purse and my phone, making 360 turns just to make sure nobody's coming up behind me. And finally, my best friend shows up. She is angry. She said to me, "You're breaking up with him. I don't care what he says." She drove me home, and the next morning my boyfriend shows up. And guess what? He's acting like nothing happened. When I open the door and he walks in, I say, "Do you remember what you did?" And all he said was, "Yeah, let's talk about it." Let's talk about it? This man kicked me out of his car at 1 a.m, knowing my battery was on 2%, putting my life in danger. And he wants to talk about it? I required all the patience that Virgin Mary could give me. That's when he apologized and said that he was completely out of line. And I said, "You think?" And then, of course, I started to cry, and I told him everything that happened after he kicked me out of the car. And he started crying. He said, "I'm so sorry. I didn't even think about that." I also made him call my best friend to apologize to her as well, which he did, and my best friend did not accept the apology, and she hung up on him. Then I told him he didn't even call me later on that night to see if I got home okay. Really, was he that angry that he just did not care about what happened to me? But here's the problem. I'm still so in love and obsessed. But my best friend and I agreed that I would not get back with him. Told him I couldn't accept him back into my life because clearly he doesn't care enough and he doesn't have my back. Then he started to cry some more and left. He's been showing up to my house every day with flowers and everything that I like. But I'm confused, angry, and I just really don't know what to do. Am I overreacting or am I not reacting enough? Should I just cut contact with him? Please help me out.
When I was 14 years old at a sleepover, I was blowing my nose in the bathroom and my friend skipped in and went, "What are you doing?" And I just froze. I was like, what am I doing? What am I doing that warrants such a big reaction? I was just sitting there with toilet paper up to my nose, feeling so vulnerable. And she said, "You know we have Kleenex like civilized people, right?" And I went, "What?" And she said, "You could have just asked. Did you think we were animals? Like we don't own facial tissues?" And she like went to the other room and she brought back a box of Kleenex. And I remember at the time being like, "Oh, it's so embarrassing. I'm so poor. I didn't know I was supposed to look for Kleenex." I was thinking about it the other day because it's really followed me into my adult life. Like in my house growing up, Kleenex were for if you were sick so that you didn't chap your nose, because I feel like toilet paper just isn't as soft and you can chap your nose. You can chap your nose with Kleenex too. But still, I was thinking about buying Kleenex the other day and then I was like, in this economy? And I'm not rich. I'm not poor, but I'm definitely, I have enough money. I can spoil myself a little bit. And I'm still just like, no, we don't buy Kleenex. Kleenex and Snapple are for sick people. And I just want to know, do you use toilet paper or Kleenex to blow your nose? And is it a poor person thing, or is it a family by family basis, or is it a little bit of both? Also, because I know how the internet is and people in the comment section are going to say things like, "That girl sounds like a snob." She's not a snob. She's just my theater friend and she's got a very on personality all the time.